Hello friends, welcome to the reflection for Tuesday of the 10th week in the ordinary time of the year. I want to begin by asking you this question. Have you ever felt the need to give compliment to somebody with solid personality? To give a flattering compliment to somebody of high honor and status? How did you go about it? What did you tell the person? Before you answer, I want to share a very interesting discovery I made in the gospel passage of today. In the gospel, Jesus addressed his apostles with what is regarded as the most powerful compliment ever given to Christians. Jesus told his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth and the light of the world." In biblical context, salt is a very powerful metaphor. Salt is connected with three important qualities. The first quality is purity. By mere appearance of salt, you will discover its glistening whiteness, its bright whiteness. This appearance already establishes the status of salt as something of high purity. However, the most concrete proof of the purity of salt is what happened in 2 Kings chapter 2 from verse 19 to 22. This was when the people of Jericho went to Elisha and they told Elisha, Prophet Elisha, they told Elisha, "Our city is beautiful, our land is well situated, but there is a problem. The water in our land is bad. And because of it, our land has remained unproductive." When they told Elisha this, Prophet Elisha, he felt pity for them. So he told them to get a new bowl for him and fill it with salt. So they brought the bowl containing the salt to Elisha. And then Elisha took this bowl, looked up to heaven and prayed to God. After praying to God, he poured the salt in the water. By this, Elisha purified the waters of their land. And from that moment, their land became productive. So for Jesus to address the apostles, and by extension, we Christians, as salt of the earth, Jesus is telling you and I that we are called to live a life of purity. This compliment is both a compliment and also a mandate. Compliment is that it is meant to remind us of our status as Christians, our dignified status, our exalted status as Christians. And then as a mandate, meaning for us to live in the consciousness of this status. If we have not yet realized our status as Christians, then Jesus is calling our attention to it, to live in the consciousness of it. In that case, we are meant to live a life of purity. And what does it mean to live a life of purity? Sexual purity, yes. Life of integrity, life of truth, life of honesty, life of sincerity. These qualities border on the virtue of purity. And then the second quality of salt is preservation. In ancient time, when we did not have the modern means of preservations like refrigerator or chemicals or chemical elements we use to preserve one thing or the other. For instance, maybe you have a dead body or a meat, a fresh meat you want to preserve. Of course, you know that once a body is dead, if that body is not preserved, or when you get a fresh meat, or when you get a fresh meat and that meat is not preserved, what happens? The next thing, it begins to decay. It begins to experience corruption. Now, if you want to preserve a fresh meat or a dead body, you put preservative. And in ancient time, because they don't have refrigerator and other things, they use salt to preserve dead body or fresh meat. And by so doing, it will not experience any corruption. So what salt does in a meat is like you are introducing a soul to a dead body or a fresh meat, and then it will prevent it from experiencing corruption. So Jesus addressing us as the salt of the earth, it means that Jesus is calling us to exercise antiseptic influence over our life. What it meant is that our conduct, our lifestyle should be powerful enough to become a catalyst for goodness. We should live in such a way that our presence will defeat corruption, and create a moral climate where goodness, holiness can thrive. Then the third quality of salt is flavor. Imagine cooking food, and then at the end of the day, you have put all the ingredients and you fail to add salt. What happens? The food will become tasteless. But the moment you add salt to that food, the food becomes delicious. What did the salt do? The salt was able to unlock the flavor, and the food became delicious. So as Christians, we are also expected to bring flavor to life. When people are in a gloomy, sad mood, we can lighten their mood. We can bring flavor. We can lift their mood. That is what it means to become salt of the earth. And then the final compliment Jesus gave his apostles is that he told them, you are the light of the world. If you want to understand how powerful this compliment is, let's go to the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2. When the parents of Jesus brought Jesus into the temple before the elderly holy priest, Simeon came into the temple and saw the child Jesus, and he began his nunc When he was singing his nunc he addressed Jesus as the light for the revelation of the Gentile, the light that will show the path of salvation to the Gentile. This was a compliment given to Jesus, and today Jesus is giving us and his apostles that same compliment, that we are the light of the world. What can be more powerful than this? This is the most dignified compliment Jesus ever gave to his followers and to us. So we must live in the consciousness of this status, of this dignity Jesus gave us. It's almost as if we are sharing the same dignity with Jesus. We are the light of the world. I remember the story of a young girl who was working in a certain company, and then one day she came to her pastor and told her pastor that she can't go to that company again. That the company, the atmosphere there is so toxic. Everybody there insults, that she can't cope. And then the pastor asked her a question. When you light a lamp, where do you place it? The girl didn't understand what the pastor meant or where the pastor was heading to. Reluctantly, she answered, when you put on a light, when you light a lamp, you put it in a place where there is dark to dispel the darkness and then illumine the place. Pastor told her, perfect. That company where you work, there is darkness there. Become the light and dispel the darkness of hatred, the darkness of toxicity, and the darkness of insult. The moment the pastor told her this, it was as if she had an illumination or a flash of insight. Another moment, she discovered her mission in that company. So she went back. When anybody insults her, she responds with kindness, with kind words. She never insulted back. She didn't realize the impact she was making by that gesture. Until one day, the company opened a new branch and they needed to send the manager who was in the current branch to that new branch to help set up the place. So when the manager there was sent to the new branch, they needed to get a replacement for the manager that was sent to help and bring up the new branch. And then, to the surprise of that girl, every member of the staff voted her to become the new branch manager. And they were saying she's the kindest person here. She's very friendly. She's very jovial. She hardly insults. She has no enemy. That was the day the girl realized that her mission in that company has been accomplished. Can we do this as a Christian? Can we do this as Christians? Through our lifestyle, to dispel the darkness of hatred, the darkness of toxicity, the darkness of insult, to sanitize our workspace. Jesus has given us both a compliment and a mandate. A compliment meaning to live in the consciousness of our status as salt and light of the world. And then a mandate to live a life of witness that will make our impact felt in society, in environment, and wherever we find ourselves. I pray that the message of the gospel will inspire your heart, especially toward realizing your dignity as a Christian and to go out there and make a positive impact.